Mr. Jackson, Chief Meteorologist David Heckard. We are getting closer and closer to the municipal elections in the city of Jacksonville. It actually occurs next Tuesday. And here in the Weather Center, there is at least the threat for maybe a storm system to arrive just in time for the election itself on Tuesday. And that could make for potentially some significant wet weather at some of the polling locations. So let's kind of take a first look at the bigger picture, what is going on here. So the jet stream for much of the winter season has been doing something like this. And so a lot of the storm systems have stayed well away from our area. But that will begin to change as we move into this later on into next week. And already we're beginning to see this jet stream diving a little bit further to the south. And eventually this jet stream will continue to work its way all the way through parts of the deep south. What that will do is keep a lot of these storm systems like this one here, they're going to start swinging more like this instead of what they've done earlier in the winter, which is swing more in that direction. We are anticipating a more active weather pattern, it looks like, as we head into the back end of March, and that potentially includes on Tuesday. So I want to first start off with how the computer models are handling all this. So this is actually Tuesday morning. This is the GFS, or the American Computer Model, and you can see a lot of clouds and rain back here in the Gulf of Mexico. In fact, what happens here is this run of the GFS actually develops an area of low pressure and kind of works its way through the region. And as we put this into motion, you can see a lot of rainfall and thunderstorm activity developing over Jacksonville during the prime time for voting here. We could also be talking about some heavy rainfall according to this run. But the models have begun to kind of back away from this concept. Here's the American model this morning, same time period. Notice all that rain is gone. We have a much weaker system. We still have a system, and it still looks like rain in Jacksonville potentially during voting time, but you can see it is significantly weaker than what we're going to be talking about in that earlier run. Now, let's show you the European. The European has a totally different solution. What the European thinks will happen is we're going to see a storm system actually develops out here into the Atlantic waters, and because of that, that's where all the rainfall is. In fact, this is this morning's European run for Tuesday morning, and you can see no rainfall at all. In fact, it keeps all of Jacksonville dry during the day on Tuesday, with the vast majority of the rainfall staying out here into the Atlantic waters. Another way to look at this is we actually can measure how much rainfall the computers are cranking out. This is a great graphic that John Gahn made showing all the different model runs, and we're going to kind of zero in here in this Tuesday, Wednesday time period. And notice how the GFS is significantly wetter than the European computer model. In fact, the latest run of the Europeans cranking out only 11/100ths of an inch of rain, whereas some computer models on the GFS are cranking out over an inch of rain on Wednesday. So what does this all mean? When we see two models like this so different, that's called a big model spread. And so we're just going to have to wait and see how the models resolve all this. We also have high-resolution models like Futurecast. They'll begin to come into play this weekend, and I think we'll have a much better feel for what's going to happen on Election Day. But bottom line, the recipe is there for maybe a wet Election Day next Tuesday in the city of Jacksonville. I'm Assistant Chief Meteorologist David Heckard for Channel 4, the local station.